Have you finally pieced it all together? Case closed. This is how your justice ends. Shido-san.
I've told you not to call me by name. Regardless.
The continued deaths of these teenagers would be a bit much, don't you think? I considered making it appear they had a falling out, but it would be best to have each of them meet with an unfortunate accident once the
Is there any possibility they'll want to avenge their leader?
No chance. They're nothing but cattle anyway. They have no backbone without his guidance. I will keep my eye on them just in case, though.
I'll be Beyond that.
Perhaps he'll be struck by a
What was all that about, showing him this phone? The Phantom Thief Alibaba? Who is this?
Don't trust the guard either. Now then,
You... What is it?
Anyway.
Did anyone else stop by?
There'd be no reason.
It's Akechi-kun. He had to take a sudden call, so he won't be able to make it down. You know, if you stay here, they'll likely get rid of you to eliminate any evidence. I suggest you go into hiding at once if you value your life.
Yes, ma'am.
And don't say a word of what transpired here. Trust. And don't say a word of what transpired here. Trust nobody. Forget this ever happened.
And now we return to our continued report. This morning, the police have announced that they've detained a suspect who may in fact be the leader of the Phantom Thieves group. The suspect is reported to be a young
Anchon,
man who's...
can I get you to look over here?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So he got caught. That group sure was something.
Yeah.
So the next shoot got me thinking. How about we have you do an idol thing, you know? That cool?
What a surprise to think that the one behind all this is just a minor.
But considering how quickly they announced his arrest, the police must surely be confident in the outcome of this case.
Well, I'll be! Goodness, look at you now! It's been a while, Ryuji.
You stopped visiting so abruptly, everyone was worried about you. It's your second year, right? Are you still doing track and field? I'd love to see you run again.
Also, the young man continues to remain silent, refusing to implicate any potential accomplices. However, considering the number of charges brought against him...
I wonder if something happened.
Yeah.
You seemed stumped for once. Not feeling it today?
Yes.
Oh, I'm not chiding you. Just do as normal at your own pace. With your skills, there's no need to worry about your future.
Normal. Right.
He's just a high school student. How do you think he was contacting the others?
The police here can search any online communications. His accomplices may slip up eventually.
Still, it seems the Phantom Thieves' most recent targets have gone comatose. Actual harm has been done here.
Given the lack of physical violence, their method is still a mystery. Regardless, the police are looking into attempted murder charges.
You never turned it in? That's quite the surprise. I thought I lost it this whole time.
I'm sorry.
Well, your grades are excellent. And you're student council president. I'm sure you'll be admitted anywhere you apply. That one Phantom Thief should have followed your example. You hear? It seems he was caught. Some high schooler. I wonder why he turned to a life of crime.
We also received information that the young man was placed on probation for assault.
Because of his previous record, he had to leave his hometown. Perhaps his motive lies there.
I believe your father can rest in peace now. That Phantom Thief could never have changed anything. Only a handful of people are qualified to alter the world. So you've been coming home late. That's what I've heard. I make a good playmate, you know.
We have breaking news. The young man being held in custody has committed suicide. The police have confirmed his death, although details have not been released. To repeat, the suspect has committed suicide while in custody. This station will continue to report any further updates as they arrive.
It may be difficult to uncover his methods now. Perhaps that's why he decided to take this course of action.
It can't be.
You're shitting me. We got him.
It would seem as though you have been killed. But why were you killed? Why did you have to die? Do you remember? It seems you forgot an important fact while your consciousness was hazy. Indeed, your death was a necessity for your escape from certain doom. What a tremendous plan. How might you be capable of executing such a feat? Well then, let us rouse the
Hey, they're going. You realized it too, then. It was our conversation about pancakes, right? There's no way he could have reacted like that. It was your social studies trip. There's no way that this is the first time he's heard my voice. This whole deal feels sketchy. Yeah. It's impossible not to think that of him. Okay. Let's get everyone on the same page right away. There's something else we want you to look into. One more person has been on our mind. If If it's possible, I want to eavesdrop on their phone conversation. That'll be tough. Right. It's a necessity. I'd have to plant a bug directly on the phone. So it's impossible even for you.
It seemed this game.
Hey, are you alright? Don't fall asleep until we reach our destination. Are you listening?
Are you listening? You weren't paying attention? Anyway, Futaba's monitoring of Akechi's... There's a way to get past Akechi and get the mastermind... Really?
You gotta be kidding.
That is... Yes, we could have... Yeah! It seems that's our own... Listen close, everyone.
Ever since the death of their teenage...
I'm sorry I'm late. I had to finish a few...
Waiting up...
Makoto told me everything. Futaba-chan, I'm sorry that I caused you so much trouble this past summer.
It's ancient history now.
Man, that goddamn detective.
Look who's here.
Hey, you big bastard.
How've you been?
Thank goodness. It truly...
I bet that moron Akechi don't even know we tricked him yet. Hey, shouldn't we tell boss?
We wanted to make...
Hold on a sec. I see.
Akechi himself gave us the chance to strike back. He made one fatal mistake.
Couldn't you have just said from the beginning that Akechi was the real culprit?
That wasn't something we could simply bring up. We couldn't have you suspect. Besides, neither you nor the other investigators would have
True. Akechi was credited with the arrest of the Phantom Thieves. Not even I would think he was the culprit. In other words, you left him alone on purpose. That was a bold move.
God, I can't keep up with any of this stuff. So what was this mistake Akechi made? What did he do?
He slipped up in regards to Morgana's voice.
You mean a cat?
Yes, Morgana can talk.
Sorry.
When we talk...
We baited Akechi into Sis's palace, making him dispose of our leader's fake, but think he killed him.
Can you elaborate on that in more detail? What exactly happened in my cognitive world?
We're sorry for using you without your permission. Your palace had all the conditions we needed.
What conditions?
First, we required a place inside the cognitive world that was the same as in reality.
That place is based on the real world after all. Anywhere that's not warped looks just like normal.
That's why nobody but the person who uses the nav even realizes they're in the metaverse.
Back with Kamoshida, we came in from the station without even noticing. You totally can't tell the difference if there ain't any distortions around.
We had already investigated Nijima-san's palace when Makoto brought the suggestion to us.
I was seriously impressed by that suggestion. To be honest, I didn't quite understand it, but I went along with it. Yeah, it's good we have her heading up our operations.
Makoto is normally so calm as well, but once her mind is set, she gets oddly impulsive.
I did have a bit of a rivalry forming with Akechi, but I just couldn't contain myself anymore once you became a target, sis. The reason I joined the Phantom Thieves was to heal your heart, after all.
My own achievements were all that mattered to me. I was desperate. I wasn't myself at all. I'm sorry I couldn't see that.
That goes for the both of us. We heard from Mako-chan that you were going to do the interrogation, Nijima-san.
And regarding its location, I take it you used the data from my laptop?
I'm sorry.
Go on.
There were two things we were able to confirm while we were checking the metaverse. First, our clothes didn't change when we were down in the interrogation room. Second, the scenery and details outside of the palace proper were the same as in the real world.
Once we heard that from Makoto, we secretly went to check it out without Akechi knowing.
There was also one more thing we absolutely needed to make this work. A perfect cognitive replica of him in the metaverse's interrogation room.
Since he had yet to be caught, though, there obviously wouldn't be anyone in that room.
Once we saw the casino guests and police officers, we were convinced this would work. They looked no different from actual living people.
After that, we just had to work our way into the palace like usual, while keeping Akechi in the dark.
Everything went as planned up until we defeated Sis's shadow. However, it was then that we were met with a terrifying, unexpected police ambush. As a result, even though we managed to grab the treasure, we couldn't get it out of the metaverse. Except that was all an act. We had prepared an empty briefcase beforehand and merely acted like we were taking the treasure. This was because we knew the police would be coming for us.
We made made sure before the operation that the police would be waiting to ambush us. And just as expected, he totally took the bait.
Him getting captured by the police went exactly how we planned it.
And I had been interrogating him with no knowledge of this. But how did you lure Akechi into this cognitive worlds interrogation room?
All I needed were the coordinates.
Akechi disposed of the fake in the palace and left thinking he had been victorious. It must have been truly hilarious for our leader who sat idly in the real world's interrogation room. Surely he was acting quite cocky by himself in that quiet chamber.
So that's why you gave me your phone. I only took it because of what you told me.
It's a shame I didn't have the opportunity to see that for myself.
All I could do was try to handle all the messages that started coming to me on his phone. Huh. So in other words, I've been to the metaverse, albeit for a brief moment.
In our experience, there is little danger when someone enters their own palace for so short a time.
That's the other reason we had him give it to you. We needed you to listen to Alibaba, deceive the guard, and ultimately aid in his escape. By having you head back to the interrogation room, we could return you to the real world as well.
I mean, I had to think of some way to keep you from running into Akechi mid-assassination.
Huh. Astounding. I hadn't the slightest idea that such a grand operation was taking place within me.
I'm so glad he was able to persuade you during the interrogation. Even though we knew Akechi's plan, we were pretty worried about that part.
True.
Why is that?
Without Sis on our side, Futaba's plan and subsequent breakout would have never been possible. That persuasion was easily our greatest gamble. We couldn't consult Sis beforehand. It was absolutely the make or break moment of the entire plan.
Still, I'm surprised you could convince me in such a short time. Were you confident you could do it? Understandable. Either way, I can't believe you went for such a risky idea.
If we could just tell you the true culprit's plan, I knew you'd realize the bigger picture. Realize that our leader was telling the truth, and that there was a greater evil to pursue.
As a result, we emerged victorious.
Then the reason you kept this a secret from me was so you could catch the true culprit, correct?
Yes. Plus, you had lost control of yourself at the time.
This is stunning. All I can really do is laugh.
I've kind of figured out that you guys made Akechi kill a fake. But what did you do about the body?
The police never even checked it.
Huh?
They had a coroner working to ensure his death was reported as a suicide. That coroner didn't take one look at the scene and just passed along a falsified death certificate.
The bad guys have that much influence?
Murder in a police station would be reckless otherwise. We also knew of a possible conspirator.
Thanks to Futaba-chan's messages and the guard's demeanor, I eventually came to understand. And since the higher-ups at the police knew nothing of this, they were thrown into disarray. As a result, his suicide during imprisonment was reported on the news, just as Akechi planned.
And with that confusion, he was able to escape with Nijima-san's help.
I made sure nobody would check the morgue for his body, and thanks to that, nobody knows he survived.
Thinking back to the interrogation, though, I can't believe what they did to him. The callous use of violence and even drugs is utterly abnormal. If he had lost consciousness and hadn't been able to tell Sis about the phone, he would have died. I'm truly glad you made it back safe.
I almost became one of your assailants as well.
It still freaked me out when I saw the suicide on the news, though.
We made sure to live normal lives while he was being interrogated to avoid drawing any suspicion. Even with that, I couldn't help but worry for him in my heart.
Well, I knew right away that her plan worked out.
I wanted...
That's the death certificate of the principal offender, correct? Is there a problem with it?
More importantly, you've done well with regard to the prosecutor.
The cause of death for the SIU director?
I had him work quite substantially on forging evidence. His loss should be mourned.
It was thanks to his efforts that I could enter the Phantom Thieves' interrogation room.
The SIU is in disarray with his death. I'll take my time choosing a successor after the elections.
At any rate, I'm now praised as a hero.
All possible hindrances are now gone. There's no doubt that this
And on to our next story. Have you figured out who's behind?
Akechi accidentally let that slip after the murder. He said,
Shido.
He is unmistakably a...
If he is behind all this, that would be in stark opposition to his honest public image.
so his current position and popularity is just him benefiting from the mental collapses. We'll make him have a change of heart, no matter what it takes. Mom.
Shido, huh?
What is the matter?
I had a feeling he was wrapped up in all this, just based on the connections I had from my previous job. I think the one who crushed Wakaba's research and confiscated her materials was probably Shido. From the moment Wakaba died, I had a hunch he was involved. But there wasn't anything I could do, so I chose to protect Futaba and went into hiding.
Why didn't you say that sooner?
You guys would have definitely gone after him if I had. He would have just killed all of you, no doubt. That's what he usually does to people who get in his way.
Originally, I was looking into the mental shutdown cases. It was then that I accidentally stumbled upon government research regarding the psychotic breakdowns. So I tracked down the whereabouts of that research data and met with the associated parties. Boss was one of those parties. I would never have imagined all of this was connected. The mental shutdowns, psychotic breakdowns, Shido, and even the Phantom Thieves' actions.
Way back when, Shido kept saying he was going to be Prime Minister one day. Nobody believed him, though.
What's going to happen to this country if Shido becomes Prime Minister? What about the world?
The issue is simpler than that. This is nothing more than yet another selfish adult trying to impose his will on the public.
We gotta expose that rotten bastard!
Yeah, we'll do it like always. Then let's check the nav.
Masayoshi Shido, the guy running for Prime Minister. Got a hit! Well, duh. It ain't a surprise he has one.
Where would the location be?
What kind of things go through a politician's head?
I always think of dirty money and shady actions.
What does he do? And where? We don't got a clue about this guy's life.
His palace must be somewhere that politicians frequent. Any ideas?
We got a hit!
How arrogant must he be to see himself as the ruler of the Diet Building?
Our next target's the big shot politician Masayoshi Shido. We're gonna do this, right? No need to waste time with him. We just gotta hit the head. Nobody against it?
Of course!
He will be a worthy opponent.
Let's win this together.
Time for revenge.
Then it's unanimous.
All we gotta do now is figure out what he thinks that Diet Building place is.
So that's the app that allowed me to enter the metaverse.
An old fart like me can't wrap his head around all this stuff.
We'll have to deal with this before Election Day, December 18th. That means we need it done by the 17th.
It's best we hurry before they discover there's no body in the morgue.
Should we start tomorrow then? We can meet at the Diet Building after school.
That reminds me, what are you gonna do about school? You can't show up if you're supposed to be dead.
Miss Kawakami said he went back home for family reasons.
That's what I told the school.
Don't let him find out you're alive then, all right? This whole thing would be for nothing.
What do you mean?
This operation had another purpose outside of escaping Akechi's clutches. Shido tried to place all the blame on the Phantom Thieves and deceive the public at the same time. He has ruined countless lives, and even made Goro Akechi, a student, assist him with assassinations. A mere change of heart is too lenient a sentence for such an abominable criminal.
We'll be making use of the police statement that the leader of the Phantom Thieves committed suicide. Our leader, who is presumed dead, will come out of hiding to deliver a grand statement. He'll say he has escaped prison, not committed suicide, and was in fact almost killed by a criminal.
Everyone's gonna flip.
You guys thought through all this stuff too?
We're intellectuals, you know.
That's why you needed such a daring trick as getting captured and appearing. What frightening teenagers.
I finally made it this far.
Back then, you earned the media's attention as a young politician who could rise up against bureaucracy. Because of that, those who wanted to preemptively deal with problems tried to tie you up in scandal.
To think I would fall for the ruse schemed by those decrepit fools in power. I recall that's when you came to me. You promoted yourself saying you had special powers. If it wasn't for the research on cognition that I dabbled in, I would have thought you insane.
I made those troublesome opponents psychotic and erased any trace of that scandal.
Who'd think that tampering with a person's heart could trigger a psychotic lapse or mental shutdown? And when someone like that said he'd support me, I had suspected there'd be an ulterior motive.
It's because I sympathized with your aspiring ideology. I believe...
Well, my faith in you was precisely why I pulled the plug on that research. I only need you using that power. It'd be troublesome if someone else uncovered how it works.
Wakaba Ishiki, was it? That researcher. She wouldn't have had to die if she just complied.
Any suspicions should be snubbed out. Even the smallest doubt must be severed at the root. After all, we had an active public prosecutor's office director on our side, until recently.
Astounding, isn't it? To think the director himself often forged evidence to secure his promotion. He was quite surprised when you confronted him about it. He didn't know who leaked that information. Well, I got that out of his shadow, so technically speaking, he did it himself.
This country's affairs have become stagnant. The political world is filled with old men who only act to preserve their own vested interests. The general public has forsaken such political affairs and don't even bother. Only ruin awaits us.
I must agree.
There's no need to be ruined along with such incompetent fools. I will lead this country to its revival. Those who get in the way must be eliminated at times. That's the correct way to use the metaverse.
Still, it would stand out if there were continuous deaths and scandals with your political rivals, which is why I made them suspects. Prosecute the targets that I turn psychotic, and solve them as cases unrelated to you. And thus, the charismatic ace detective was born.
Thanks to your efforts, my clean image remains untarnished, and I've monopolized public opinion. Once I gained public sentiment, collaborators from all sectors began approaching me on their own. The police were no exception. With their management in my pocket, keeping them in check was easy.
When the Phantom Thieves emerged, I thought things might become somewhat troublesome.
And they were just brats once we looked into it. All we needed to do was lay the blame on them.
When you told me that, I knew then that you were the better man.
Their popularity was a bit beyond my expectations, but flipping it made the negative press strong. After that, all I had to do was openly berate them. I've been gaining more supporters since. The current administration is dead with ongoing scandals. Never mind the fact that they're my doing. Even the government parties have begun splitting up, and they're dissolving just as planned. The time has finally come. Just a little more, and I will take the seat of Prime Minister. However, inauguration isn't my goal. That's when everything truly begins. I'll make this country rich for the sake of its selfish and ignorant masses who can only rely on others.
In other words, you're creating a powerful country that can compete with the world.
The public resonates with my ideals and follows me. And for that, some sacrifices can't be avoided. That is my duty as the Chosen One. Your assistance has been very influential in making my plans proceed smoothly. When I become Prime Minister, I'll grant whatever wish you want.
With this most recent case, my name has become known across the country. Surely my story will be passed down as a hero who won against monsters that could control people's hearts. I believe I'll lay low and devote myself to my studies.
I suppose with your age, you wouldn't come up with debauched desires.
I am thinking about the future, though.
Well, how do I put this?
Well then. Nice. Nice. Sorry.
Where have you been searching all along, confessing while alone.
Remember how I hijacked your phone during the school trip? That kinda came in handy. Well, remember how I put that wiretap? Basically, that let me see GPS info for 2 phones, yours and his. I'd be able to tell the precise moment Sae Nijima, who had your phone, ran into Akechi. That's when I saw my chance, and beep, sent the signal to activate the Metaverse Navigator. But there was a chance they'd just pass each other without saying a single word. That's why we needed you to tell Sae Nijima to show the phone to Akechi.
This plan still surprises me no matter how many times I hear it.
Still, I couldn't just directly hack into the Metaverse Nav. It's a mysterious app after all. But you know how it has that bookmark function? All you have to do is push the button. Making the phone think he was pushing that button was totally doable.
So. Well, how do I put this?
It may not have looked like it, but everyone else, though there's no doubt you were the most at risk. But it seems like all the drugs and stuff made you want me to explain how it all went down? I guess that's just and seriously? Oh. Well, since the rest of us didn't, we had to pretend we never wanted you to get arrested. Pretend this. Basically, we had the enemy. If they had people watching us and realized what our plan was, want to hear more? Another tough part was figuring out how to get Sae Nijima in order to return to reality. You have to go back to the point where you came into the metaverse. So, Sae and Akechi had to go through where the nav was activated, as in, the hall where they met. Akechi would just come back the same way after the assassination. We needed to stop her for a moment before she headed back toward the interrogation room, but nothing can be sent to a phone inside a palace. So, I had to program the messages. In doing so, I made it seem like the messages were coming at that exact moment in time. That part was kinda last minute, so I had to pull an all-nighter trying to get it set up. I'm really on a roll here. Wanna hear some more? Let me see. Oh yeah, tying Akechi up. That was really tough. I obviously don't mean the real Akechi. Even if we could do that, it would ruin our plan. The one we had to tie up was Sae Nijima's cognitive Akechi. This part's really complicated. I know you're tired. Well, we needed to lure Akechi into Sae Nijima's palace and have him kill the cognitive version. But Akechi would have entered the palace immediately after meeting Sae Nijima in the hallway, right? Because of that, there was a pretty decent chance he'd run into the... And if that happened, Akechi would have totally realized... Nobody actually even thought of this possibility until the night before the assassination. Makoto realized in the middle of the night. Then it was a huge mess trying to figure out what to do. In the end, we chose to sneak into the metaverse while the plan was happening to tie up the cognition. Because you told Sae to show him the phone, we expected her to chat with him for at least a bit. So, we had a few minutes to strike after the cognitive Akechi showed up, but before the nav activated. It was Operation Tie Him Up. Though it wasn't really much of an operation in the end. Thankfully, Sae Nijima didn't know his true nature, so the one that appeared was an ordinary kid. It was pretty simple surrounding him, knocking him out, and tossing him on another floor. But man, watching Makoto's skill was super amazing. I guess she does use Knuckles as her weapon. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, appreciate what everyone else did. I just can't help but rant when I'm talking about stuff that interests me. Sorry about that. Just focus on resting up, and seriously,
virgin all along. Confessing while I know